Okay, which one is better? Don't worry about the grade yet. Just look at them for a second. Same level of wear, same amount of detail left. Nothing immediately stands out. Most people stop right here and call them the same grade. They're not. And the difference between them is small enough that most people never see it. So pick one. Don't overthink it. Just go with your first instinct. If you leaned left, lock it in. If you leaned right, great, lock it in. Because that instinct is exactly what we're about to test. Now, before I break this down, look right here. Don't worry about what you're seeing yet. Just notice it. Watch how the edge of the coin meets the design. On one of these, that relationship holds. On the other, it starts to break down. You don't need to understand it yet. You just need to see that they're not behaving the same. If you're trying to separate these based on how much detail is left, this won't work because at this level, both coins have already lost most of their detail. So grading stops asking, how sharp is it? And starts asking, where does it begin to fail? Because that failure point is what controls the grade. All right, we'll start on the front, or what's otherwise known as the obverse. Now, as you'll notice, you do have the overall outline. The profile of Liberty is intact. The wreath is somewhat visible. Basic structure is still there. So Liberty is basically gone on both coins. And that's exactly what you would expect at this level of preservation. There's no collapse here. Nothing on the obverse tells you that one coin is clearly stronger. Both coins pass the obverse test. So if you're making your decision here, you're guessing. Now, I also want to point out one thing. You'll notice this little defect right here on the rim. Now, I am discounting that completely when it comes to grading or determining the condition of these coins, because that obviously would be something that would be held against this coin. But otherwise, the 1908 pretty well shows the point I'm trying to make. So if they both pass here, why don't they land in the same grade? Ha, well, because this isn't where the decision is made. This is where Barber coinage, whether it's a dime, quarter, or in this case a $50, they change. You move away from detail and into structure. Now, look at the reverse. This is the 1906. Don't scan the whole coin. Just focus on one thing, the rim and the lettering that sits against it. Not just whether it's there, but how closely those elements separate from the field. All right, we'll start with the 1906. Now, notice that the rim is still present, but watch how it behaves. Instead of holding a firm edge, it softens. It fades in certain areas. Now, look at the lettering next to it. The edges are no longer clean. They start to blend into the field a little bit. The separation weakens. Nothing is gone, but the structure isn't holding cleanly anymore. This coin still qualifies, but it sits right at the edge. All right, now compare that to the 1908D that was on the right. Look at the same areas. The rim carries slightly further. It stays a little bit more continuous. It doesn't fade quite as early. Now look at the lettering. The edges stay sharper. That separation holds longer. This coin doesn't just meet the standard, it holds it longer. Okay, back and forth. Left, it softens early. Right, it carries a little bit further. Same starting point, but different endurance. All right, now look at them again now. They felt like the same grade at the start. Do they still? So now lock it in again. Which one do you think holds together longer? Okay, here we go. This coin on the left, this one would fall into the good 4 category. And this one, again, ignoring this little mark down here, would advance to a grade of good 6. At this level, grading is sequential. The first question, does the structure survive? Second question, how long does it hold before it breaks? If it weakens early, well, the grade caps. If it carries further, then the grade can advance. And this is exactly why grading Barber coins can be difficult. Not because they look identical, but because they sit right next to each other. And if you're only looking at detail, you'll miss every single time. Because it isn't detail that separates them, it's structure that does. Once you stop asking what looks better and start tracking where the structure breaks, everything changes. You stop guessing. You stop relying on instinct. And you start seeing a coin the way a grader does. That's where the difference actually lives.